Welcome to Straight Talk. I'm Stephanie Scolaro. So we begin tonight's show with some breaking news that just happened a little while ago, and it's kind of huge. Kash Patel has been confirmed as director of the FBI. I was a little worried about this one because they seemed so against him getting in there because he knows where the bodies are buried. And the best part was when they tried to say he's completely unqualified. Yeah, he's probably more qualified than most of the people that were put up for being in the cabinet. I mean, look up the guy's history. He's very qualified for this position. So, word on the street in DC is, and I have this from people that live there, that since last week or so, like when DOGE really started getting into the waste stuff, a huge majority of homes in the DC area are now up for sale. In fact, you can look it up. Like if you look up the area, the map on like Zillow or one of those, and you look for homes for sale in that area, it's like everything is for sale. So also Google even said that the top search of last week in the DC area, I guess they can, look that up and see what people in certain areas are searching for. The top search in the DC area last week was criminal defense attorneys. Make of that what you will. But Adam Schiff decided to come out and do a press conference immediately following the confirmation of Kash Patel. And boy, did he seem nervous. So he was out there alone and he was calling him a sycophant and all these names, and unqualified and all this stuff. And then his other buddies, in the Senate that were against Kash Patel came out and kind of reiterated the same BS. So I'm just looking forward to there being law and order again, not craziness, not people getting away with crimes that, like rape or beating up elderly people on the street. I mean, that kind of stuff, none of us are used to that. I didn't grow up in the big city, like Chicago or New York, but even people in Chicago, New York were not used to that kind of crime since all of these illegal migrants have come in, and a lot of them are, criminals, unfortunately. So last week we ended, I had a lot of things to talk about last week. I think one of the very last things that we talked about was that Lee Zeldin had been, his confirmation had gone through to be the new leader of the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency. Well, the EPA is huge in our government because they make a lot of rules and regulations that could stymie a lot of progress in general for the country. If they see something, a piece of property, oh no, we can't, there's a certain grasshopper that lives there and it's extinct or it's becoming extinct and, we have to protect it. But there's like a humongous oil field underneath it and we can't drill for it. It affects our energy costs and stuff like that. They can block out certain patches of land for building homes or putting a street in. They can cause a lot of issues. So for, our infrastructure here in the United States. So, but if they do their job, they can also help to keep us all healthy by looking into if there's chemicals being dropped or added into our streams, our rivers, the oceans got all kinds of plastics and stuff and it's killing the fish. So those are positives that the EPA can do. I just can't wait to see them actually work in conjunction with the rest of our government. So the first couple days, Lee Zeldin is in there and he gets told that Project Veritas has done an undercover investigation on the EPA a few months before he got nominated. And turns out they went a little crazy in the EPA over the last decade or so. And we discussed this, that they had an undercover video. I believe it was a female reporter went undercover and spoke to a male employee of the EPA. And the male employee, it looked like they were sitting at lunch or having a drink or something. It looked very casual. And he was saying how, the agency was panicking because of Trump, because they weren't going to be able to get all their, projects done, all their crazy climate change stuff done, because they figured that they wouldn't have any money to do the projects that they want to do. So what they started doing was hiding all the money, all the grants that they had. And the way he told this reporter was that they had converted the money into, quote, gold bars, literally, and they dropped them off the Titanic. So she's like, really? What does that mean? Well, turns out that your tax money was being sent all over the place to different nonprofits or NGOs, non-governmental organizations, to different states to hide the money, to different indigenous tribes. And they were trying to spend as much of whatever they had left as they could. Okay. And the reason they do that is so that there's as little amount of oversight as possible, because basically once it leaves the main coffers of the EPA and it gets sent out, if they don't label it or, put some type of marking on those monies, it's untraceable. So it's gone. So your money is gone and we don't know where it is, or we can't even find it. So what's funny is Lee Zeldin found it. And it turns out that the money had been spread out over 8 different bank accounts all over the place. 20 billion, with a B, billion tax dollars. They were parked in these outside financial institutions, okay? So that they could access whatever monies they wanted if Trump's administration says, no, we're not doing that. And they're like, oh yeah, well, okay, well, we'll do it on our own. So that's what they did. They were able to claw that money back. So that's a positive that came out of this. Now, there's a new development. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to read this. This came out in the New York Post, okay, today. And it says, the Environmental Protection Agency has recently discovered that the Biden administration awarded $2 billion to a climate group with ties to former Georgia Democratic gubernatorial candidate Stacey Abrams. I'm sorry. I thought she was the governor. Did she not tell everybody that she was, in fact, the governor of Georgia, even though she didn't win? I thought she said that. So I don't know. I'm just trying to get that cleared up. This money, this $2 billion, was earmarked for a company called Power Forward Communities. It's a nonprofit that has partnered with multiple left-wing groups founded by Abrams, and which the Georgia Democrat has stated she was thrilled to be a part of. And I bet she was. It says the funds were set aside at an outside financial institution, Citibank, before Biden left office, and was part of the larger $20 billion that was a pot of money that the former president of the EPA received through the Inflation Reduction Act to dole out to climate groups. I'm sorry, how does giving our money to all these different NGOs that we don't know anything about, how does that reduce inflation? It doesn't. Okay, so Lee Zeldin says, it's extremely concerning that an organization that reported just $100 in revenue in 2023 was chosen to receive $2 billion. That's 20 million times the organization's reported revenue. That's tax fraud. So that organization of Stacy's, the Power Forward Communities, filed taxes in 2023 and said all they have is $100 in the bank. And they really had $2 billion. I mean, if that doesn't tell you how these people work, I don't really know what else to say to you, because, I mean, this is a little crazy. So now we're going to get into a little bit of my very favorite thing that we've ever done in the United States, as far as I'm concerned. DOGE. That is my extreme favorite thing that we've done. The Department of Government Efficiency. Because, and the reason I like it is because it is blatant truth in our face. I like nothing but the raw truth. That is just me. A lot of people would prefer somebody kind of sugarcoat stuff. And yes, I when I deal with other people, I'll give it to them the way that they would prefer it, but I'm always very honest. And that's the way I want to get my information. I want somebody just to give it to me straight. Give me all the information, no matter what it is, positive or negative, and then I will be able to make an informed decision for myself, whatever it is. So DOGE, they now have about 100 employees. We watched over this past week, there was a lot of controversy about them having access to information. Why would you not want to know what our tax money is doing? I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, whatever you are. I don't really care. Green Party. Why would you not want to know what our tax dollars are doing? And that is exactly what DOGE is doing. I don't know if any of you were able to see the interview with President Trump and Elon Musk. They were on Fox. I think part 2 was last night and part 1 was before that. And they were on Sean Hannity. It was a very informative interview. And you kind of got to see the interplay between the two of them. They're actually friends. You know, it's kind of almost like sort of like a mentorship. I think that Elon has a lot of respect for President Trump in the fact that he's sort of like a fatherly figure, to him. And President Trump respects his extreme intellect, and knowledge on actually a lot of things. He's very intelligent. You may not like the way he does things, okay? But this is the analogy that I like to use, that, people that tell me they don't like Trump, they don't like the way he talks, they don't like the way he does anything. Some people are saying this now about Elon. He's too brash. He's going in there. He's looking at everything. He's seeing all my stuff. He's the richest man in the world. He doesn't need my measly paycheck or your measly paycheck. Believe me, he doesn't need to steal your name. The guy has access. He's so smart on the computer, he could access anything. He has top secret clearance, okay, with our government. He works on some of the most important computer systems in the world, okay? It wouldn't surprise me if the guy's already been to Mars and he's just like not telling us yet, okay? Wouldn't shock me. Wouldn't shock me if he's time traveled. Wouldn't shock me. The guy's very, very ahead of his time. And I just respect it. I respect that. It's amazing. But here's the analogy. You're dying. Somebody tells you you're going to die. You've got brain cancer, your entire brain covered. There's 2 surgeons in the world that could do the surgery. Okay. They both done it. They can do it. You meet the first guy. He's really nice, very friendly, very sweet, talks real sweet. He has 80% positive rate that his patients do well with his surgery, okay? Then you meet the second guy who can do the surgery. He's very direct, kind of blah, doesn't really have much of a personality, and he has 100% rate of, success in this surgery. Who are you going to choose? I'm choosing the 100% guy. I don't care if he's a nerd. I don't care if he doesn't look at me. I don't care if he doesn't make eye contact. I really don't care. If this is the best surgeon that every patient he's dealt with has lived, that's the guy I want. I'm not interested in niceties. I want the facts, right? So that's kind of the analogy I like to give when we're dealing with a lot of change. I understand that for a lot of people out there, this kind of everything's happening very fast, like fast. Okay. Even fast for me. And I like to move fast. And I'm just like trying to keep up with what's happening. But everything they're doing is positive. Now, I will say this, expect growing pains. Everything's not going to be perfect. There's going to be some little snafus here and there. Okay. Because President Trump and his cabinet has got specific things that they want to get accomplished in this next 4 years. Okay. They're not just dealing with all the crap that the last administration left them. They're also dealing with all the employees that are embedded in our federal government that don't like Trump. You know, like 90% or 90, might even be higher than that, percent of federal government is registered Democrats. I mean, and that's fine. I don't care what your political party is, but that explains to you that a lot of these people have been there a long time. They're diehard Democrats or liberal, and they don't approve of President Trump's way of thinking or way of doing things. They have different policies, okay? Which is fine. But he's the president, and the majority of the American people voted for him. And these are the policies that we voted for. And these are the things that he said he could get done for us. And those are the things we're expecting him to get done. So all of you that are trying to stand in his way and that are disobeying executive orders and are not doing what you're supposed to be doing need to quit. If you're not going to follow the law, which is what the president is setting, with his executive orders, if you're not going to follow the law of the land, then leave your job. Get another job. Work somewhere else. If you've been there all this time, I'm sure you have a lot of experience now. Get another job. Like you guys used to tell all the poor baby boomers that were getting kicked out of jobs, learn to code. How does it feel? Not too good, huh? So I understand there's a lot of people that are not, this isn't the most comfortable thing because you're seeing a lot of change. And he's dealing with big, big, life-threatening, issues. That's the thing in Israel, that's huge. We're dealing with Russia and Ukraine, it's huge. Okay. Now, I talked with one of my good friends about the situation in Ukraine and Russia. And, so they were making a thing, not my friend, but the news was making a big thing out of the Ukraine war and who started it and who did this and who did this. Well, here's the deal. Years ago, Putin was saying, I don't want any more NATO countries like surrounding me. He's not a part of NATO. Now, he asked to be a part of NATO. When President Clinton was in office, Clinton said yes, but the powers that be said, hell to the no, we're not going to allow Russia to be in NATO. Now, imagine if Russia had been allowed to be in NATO. Would we have these wars going on? I don't think we would. He was not allowed to be in NATO. So at that time, he said, all right, then you have to make a promise, and they did, that NATO will not pursue entrance of any countries that surround Russia. Okay. And here's Ukraine saying they want to do it. Well, I mean, all these other little ones are trying to be part of NATO. So he's starting to feel a little surrounded. Okay. As a leader of a country, I mean, that would make me a little not happy. Now, I don't know all the ins and outs of that. You can look that up, but that's the basis for that. So now when Ukraine started, trying to get into NATO, it created some problems there. Okay. And NATO was giving them weapons and stuff like, nope, sorry. They can try to get into NATO. And Putin's like, okay, then I want you to stop building biolabs on my border. Well, guess what they were doing in those biolabs? They were dealing with deadly diseases like, Ebola and other really serious deadly diseases. I don't know if COVID-19 was studied there or not, but he was like, look, you guys need to move those labs off of my borders, okay? And I'm going to give you till this time frame. If I don't see you starting to do that, then I'm going to put troops there. And so it escalated from that. So I don't know that anybody in particular started this war. I think it was something that was a back and a forth, and then it turned into what it is now. I don't know if that helps, but that's a brief explanation of how all that got started. How it started, how it's going. Yeah, it's going pretty bad now. So, but in talking about DOGE again, so DOGE is trying to get in there and clean things up. And we see a lot of people going a little crazy over the fact that they're going to be in there looking at where all the money is going. And I'm sorry, but if I'm an elected official, it is my job and my duty to my constituents to know where the tax dollars are going. So when they ask me, hey, where did this happen? What happened with this? I can tell them what's going on. So all these people up in Congress that are losing their ever-loving minds over them getting this information, I'm sorry. That seems a little bit guilty to me. And when I look at their net worth, because that's online, you can look that up. Look at the salaries these people in Congress make, and now look at their net worth when they start to retire, especially like Nancy Pelosi. Look that up. She's like, gets paid, I don't know, $100,000 a year in the high end there, the high end of that, closer to 200,000. And she's worth over $200 million. Doing what? I know her family had some money, but really? You know how she got that money? Because she invests. It's called insider trading. And Congress members are allowed to do it. Why? Doesn't that tell you something about the stock market? It's a game. It's all a facade. So I know that I want to know where my hard-earned tax dollars are going, right? I worked most of my life. I've worked 2 jobs most of my life. I did music and singing, as well as I worked in healthcare. And I paid my taxes in both, okay? So now I'm considered medically disabled because I have a million complications from breast cancer. I'm in perpetual pain every day. I have all kinds of autoimmune issues, and I'm allergic to pain meds. So right now my brain works, so that's why I'm talking with you guys, and I'm very grateful to have the opportunity to at least be able to do that, But so I received my Social Security check. That's my tax money that I paid while I was working, right? It's my money, but I still pay taxes on it again. So I'm paying taxes on money that I already paid taxes on. Make it make sense. So, and then you have other Democrats getting up there and saying, get in the streets and fight. And they're talking about fighting. And one of them even said, bring a gun. Mr. Jeffries, Mr. Schumer, Mr. Garcia, Chris Matthews on TV on MSNBC the other day. I mean, that's a little bit much. I mean, if we did it as conservatives, if we did that, we were put in jail, were we not? Because we walked in a building. People have been in jail for several years now. But you guys are threatening violence. I don't know. I think it's a little fishy, right? So the information that has come out of DOGE, I mean, here's something new. DOGE finds 1.9 billion IRS contracts hiding in plain sight. So the IRS has been made to cancel a massive IT contract after a DOGE review exposed questionable spending. $1.9 billion. The State Department had media subscriptions that our tax dollars were paying for. And DOGE said, these are non-mission critical media subscriptions. So yeah, we're going to get rid of that too. Okay. $149 billion is missing. $149 billion in improper government payments last year alone. That is enough to fund NASA for 7 years or build 15 aircraft carriers. Medicare and Medicaid lead the pack with over $60 billion in misspent funds, followed by tax credits of 20 plus billion and food assistance at 10 plus billion dollars. This is coming from reporter Mario Nawfal. He is on X. He has tons of excellent information. Okay. And this is also what he's saying. These are not just accounting errors. They represent a fundamental failure of government oversight. Most revealing is what happens after improper payments are discovered. And now he's saying what they're going to do. So of the $33.5 billion that was identified as possibly we could recover that in 2024, the agencies managed to claw back just 22.6 billion of it. The rest evaporates into bureaucratic limbo. Well, that is unacceptable to me. Unacceptable. That's somebody's tax money that they worked really hard for. And you're telling me that $11 billion is just gone into the air? Well, why don't we start checking some people's pocketbooks? Let's check that out. Some of the guys that work in government up there. Okay? Because somebody's keeping this money. So now Mario Nawfal says the critics claim that DOGE is overreaching by targeting agencies like USAID, but the data shows waste pervades our largest programs. Okay? So then it gets into all these things that they have found. I mean, studies and stuff. Okay? Here's some government waste that has been found so far by DOGE. Okay? $20 million for a Sesame Street in Iraq. $56 million to boost tourism in Egypt and Tunisia. $40 million to build schools in Jordan. Okay, I can handle the schools, okay. $27 million for reintegration gift bags for deported Central Americans. What? 367,612,906 for Lutheran Immigration and Refugee Service, Inc. Excuse me while I choke. Yeah, $367 million. $134,190,472.95 for Lutheran Social Services of the South. Yeah, the South? Were they in North Carolina? I'm just wondering if they went in there at all. How about Tennessee or Florida? Did you guys show up there after Hurricane Helene? Milton? Just checking. I mean, $43 million the DOD spent on a single gas station in Afghanistan. $43 million. What is there, gold? Is it like lined in gold? Is that where all the gold went? It's like made out of pure gold blocks. Okay, this is just, $1.5 million job opportunities for LGBTQIA plus people in Siberia. $1.4 million on a study for bubble wrap relief. What in the hell is bubble wrap relief? You mean squeezing those bubbles on bubble wrap and the relief that is that the study that we're doing, the psychological? Oh yes, that. Whoo! All my stress is gone now that I've twisted the bubble wrap. Really, is that what? I think that's what that is. I'm not even joking. I think that's probably what it is. Well, now let me tell you some of the money that we found from DOGE so far. Okay. They have found $45 million in EPA media and DEI contract cancellations. Okay. That's a lot of money. $150 million because they did 58 cancellations in categories including media, DEI, and consulting. $881 million because of 89 Department of Education contracts that were terminated, things that were waste, that were not even being used. These are things that were not being used. $101 million in grants from 29 Department of Education DEI training grants, and they terminated those. Here's an amazing one. $4 billion that we got back from the National Institutes of Health Research Administrative Overhead. Good old Tony Fauci. $250 million saved from the cancellation of 199 wasteful contracts across 35 agencies. Okay? $182 million that we got back from the United States Department of Health and Human Services contract terminations. I mean, I am looking at hundreds of millions of dollars that were wasted on things. Unbelievable amounts of money here. USAID DEI contract, $375 million that we got back. Social Security Administration DEI contract, $419 million that we got back. Office of Personnel Management DEI contracts, we got $516 million back just from canceling those contracts. We got $45 million back from USAID DEI scholarships in Burma. $145 million in contracts that we got back from department-specific DEIA contract cancellations. $420 million that we were paying in taxpayer dollars for unoccupied leases, unoccupied buildings in D.C. And we got $420 million back from just canceling leases. So nobody even took the time to look up the leases and the lease agreements for these empty buildings. Why? Why? I don't know. I just think it's absolutely disgusting. Here's money we lost. Medicaid, $81 billion vanished. Medicare, $47 billion has disappeared. In paycheck protection, $29 billion gone. Unemployment insurance, $19 billion gone. And earned income tax credits, $18 billion is missing. These are not missing. When you intentionally mislabel or don't label something, there's no mechanism for searching for them. What are you going to type in? Lost money. I mean, this is intentional. This is people that have been working there for a very long time. Okay. Just one government agency, USAID. I mean, I'm looking at these things. It's all DEI stuff that they spent on. $20 million for Sesame Street in Iraq, $1.5 million in DEI in Serbia, $70,000 for a DEI musical in Ireland, $47,000 for a trans opera in Colombia, $32,000 for a trans book in Peru, $1.5 million to promote LGBTQ Jamaicans, $4 million for trans Serbians, $8 million to teach Sri Lankan journalists how to avoid binary gendered language. $122 million ended up in the hands of terrorists. Yes, we sent money to terrorists. Yep. Oh, we also paid $2 million in taxpayer money for sex changes in Guatemala. Yeah. $50 million for condoms and AIDS prevention in Gaza. $27 million for Morocco pottery classes. Our tax dollars should be in the United States of America unless we, the people, say, yes, go ahead and send money there for that. Go ahead. That's why we send our representatives to Congress. It's our fault because we are not holding those people accountable. It's our fault. We're sitting back and watching them steal our hard-earned money, and they're stealing it. They're stealing it from us, putting it in their own pockets and doing whatever the hell they want with it. And we're just all sitting here like this, like, what? Well, somebody needs to do something. Yeah, somebody who? That's us. We're the somebody, people. That means we need to be saying to our people, our representatives out there, excuse me, no, that is not what we hired you to do. You're supposed to be watching out for us, sir. That's me typing, like pretending I'm sending him an email. Okay? That's what we need to be doing. They represent us. And if they don't represent us, they need to be goodbye. Let's go. Get them out. So exactly what we started doing when President Trump put his people up for his cabinet of who he wants in there, he picked these people for specific reasons. And we may not be privy to what those reasons are, but I trust him to do the right thing by us, the American people. I just do. The man had enough money to live his life in peace. He did not have to run for the president of the United States. He did not have to allow these people to pillory him in the court systems, on television, defame him. I mean, he has been called every name in the book, and then they tried to kill him. And I will tell you right now, it has been more than 2 times. They have tried to assassinate President Trump multiple times, and there were times in his first term that we have never been told about. Okay? So, we need to have his back. We voted for him. If you didn't vote for him, I understand that. But this is about you too. Because those are your tax dollars too. You worked hard too. You're an American too. Doesn't matter what your political affiliation is. So when your representative that you voted for up there is not doing their job, we need to get out there and voice our opinions. And how do we do that? Well, right now, it's been on X, because X seems to be the place where you can actually talk to people from all over the world and find out information in real time and get your information and then send it and send the message to whoever in Congress that needs to know. And that seems to be the way to go about doing that. You call their offices I was told that they took the phones off the hook the last time we did that. They took the phones off the hook. You're not allowed to do that, Congress. You're not allowed to do that. So I've read you a lot of information today. Majority of this information I was able to find on X through also, I get a lot of info from the New York Post. They tend to be fairly, middle of the road. Sometimes they lean a little left. Sometimes they lean a little right. Sometimes they're middle of the road. So I tend to get a lot of info from them. That's pretty reliable. Daily Mail's iffy. It depends. Leans a little more liberal. It comes out of England, so they tend to be a little more liberal right now. And then on X, there's tons. Every journalist is on X. You can go. I utilize X as a resource, almost like an encyclopedic resource, like a library that I will go in and type the subject matter. Okay, and then all these different tweets, posts will come up. And then majority of the people attach different articles from different news sources. So you can really check to see, okay, is this right? Is this not right? What is this fishy? What's going on with this? And you can find information. So I ask you, as a tax-paying citizen, regardless of your party, look into things that you're hearing on the news, no matter what news you watch. I try to, flip around a little bit because I don't trust anything they say. Even my local news is starting it. I can't handle it. So I flip around, I get some story ideas or I see what's happening, and then I go on X and look things up. So that's what I suggest you try doing. So you can get more of a bigger picture instead of just this picture that your news is feeding you, because they are feeding us. They're feeding us and they're trying to rile you up again, rile you up, because when you're stressed, you don't think straight and you act off of emotion. Let's not have a repeat of what happened when George Floyd riots started and things like that happen. It's very dangerous and it doesn't serve any purpose to help any of us. Well, it was very great to be able to talk to all of you tonight. I hope you enjoyed the subject matter that we were able to get into. And I know we covered a lot of stuff, but I hope to have some more exciting things to discuss with you next week here on Straight Talk. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me on X. You can find me on TikTok. Yes, I'm actually on TikTok. And you can find me on Facebook and Instagram. So hopefully I'll see you guys next week. Thank you again. I'm Stephanie Scolaro, and this is Straight Talk.